Hello everyone, I'm Babli Janet and you're welcome to this edition of The Insight. In this edition of the program, we will be bringing to you a sharp-pointed and heart-witness account of what is happening in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. We'll also be taking a look at the role of the church in the life of a nation like Cameroon, especially during periods of crisis like what is going on today in the Republic of Cameroon. Meet our guests in a second. He has been on the ground. He has been in Anglophone Cameroon. He has been in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, and he has witnessed the new and deepening twist of the socio-political unrest hitting the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon for more than a year today. His Eminence Christian Cardinal TUMI, Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church, is our guest in this edition of the program. His Eminence, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, you just returned from the northwest and of course the southwest regions of Cameroon. What did you observe? What did you see?
Well, every year, since I became a bishop in 1980, I go to my village on holidays for at least 2 weeks. My village is Kikaikalaki in Kumbo. And it happens at this time, I spent more than 2 weeks in the village and observed and listened to people talking about the present political situation in the English-speaking part of our country. It happened incidentally because I didn't go there to observe what was happening. It was incidental, but it coincided. The presence of the army coincided with my presence in that part of the country. And in Mbim, that's a village about 40 minutes drive from my village, which had been visited by the army the day before I went there. I was there on the 28th, and I think the army was there on the 27th. And I saw and listened to people in their depression, I would say. It was as if the whole village of Mbim was mourning for somebody who had died, but nobody had been killed there, to be frank with you. But I saw houses that were reduced to ruin, to dust and ashes. I saw the house of a man who had run away with his wife and 6 children. Their house had been reduced to dust and ashes. I saw the material of a building water project in Mbim. The pipes had been all broken. I saw chairs of a cooperative union which had all been broken down. I saw the house of an old man, ramshackled, and I was told that the army had made away with 2 generators of the family. I saw a man looking completely depressed, from whom the army had made away with 800,000 CFA francs. I saw a bar of a young man running a small business from where hundreds of bottles of beer had been taken away. by the army. And what could not be taken away was broken to bits and pieces. I saw windows of houses broken. And I was struck by an old man, by the question an old man asked me. Cardinal, what wrong have we committed that the army should be sent to treat us this way, as if we were, foreigners who had come to ransack the village. I saw crops, corn, beans, coffee, reduced to dust and ashes. A year's harvest gone. And I asked the people, what did the army say you had committed as a fault? What was your fault?
And during your stay in the northwest region, His Cardinal, did you observe that gunshots and gun battles become nearly a daily issue?
To be frank with you, I observed none of those. I saw nothing. In this village, the people told me that the army said they were looking for guns, but they found no gun. This was simple, innocent people. And what was the reason for the presence of the army in Beam? I am told that a soldier had been gunned down by a young man in Yonkui. Yonkui is a village far away from Beam. So the people could not understand why the army came to attack them in Beam. So my conclusion is, I ask myself, brother, if they find a criminal in a village, does everybody in the village become a criminal? That's the question I ask myself.
No, you were equally in the southwest region of the country.
When I was coming back, I spent a night in Mamfe, and I saw the Bishop of Mamfe, Andronkea, who had visited some villages that were reduced to dust and ashes, and an old woman who could not save herself was burnt alive in a village. The people would like to go back, but to where? To where? They have no houses. The bishop said, when they met the bishop, the Diu Island met the traditional rulers who also met the bishop. And the bishop said he was ready to look for buses to carry the people back to the village, but to where in the village? They cannot go and leave them in the open air. He couldn't leave them in the open air. So the bishop said he could not commit himself to that type of operation. So I think that the army is making many enemies.
Right, I was going to ask you, His Eminence, from your observation, who is doing what on the ground between the secessionists, who have been referred to as terrorists today, elements of the National Armed Forces, and the masses?
What I saw now, the destruction was done by the army, by the military. Being, for example, there were no secessionists there. No. It is the army that's doing the havoc. We condemn deaths, whether of a military man or of a... That should be condemned. But if the army goes into a village, What is the purpose of its presence there? Is it just to ransack everyone? To kill whoever they saw? I'm just asking. If a military life, every life is sacred. That of the life of a civilian is sacred. The life of a military is sacred. But I do not think that it is the mission of the army to do away with the property of the civilians. I don't think so. Army does doing away with the property of the civilians.
The army that is supposed to be protecting the people and their properties.
Well, if they are looking for a criminal, let them look for the criminal with all patience. They should not draw the conclusion that since the criminal was from this village, everybody in the village is a criminal. It's not a logical conclusion. I don't think so.
And from what you're saying, from all indications, many are paying the price for a crime they have never committed.
Exact. That is why this old man asked me the question, what have we done that the government should send a whole army to come and destroy our village? You know, to see it. The village is now empty. People are away from the village. They don't know. Like this man with his wife and 6 children, nobody knows where they are. I visited the house, burnt it down. Not that I go by hearsay. What I go by hearsay is what the Bishop of Manfred told me. I spent some time, a whole day with him, and he showed me the pictures, with the, it's easy now to make pictures with the telephone and all that. He has all that ready to make a report.
Showed you pictures of villages like Kwakwa and the others?
Kwakwa, yes, I heard about that name, but I don't know the place. But I hear also that atrocities were committed there, as in Tadu. And as I said, the killing of a military man did not take place in Tadu, as some say. Nor did it take place in Bim. It took place in Yunkui, and Yunkui is kilometers away from these two places.
And the response of the military came upon people far away from the place where...
Kilometers away. Not that I hear say I went there. Yunkui is far away from Bim. Is far away from Tadu. I passed through those villages.
Maybe they got information that those who committed the atrocity or those who killed the element of the National Armed Forces had escaped to the neighboring villages that came under the repression of the Defense and Security Forces.
Accepted that they escaped. Let them look for them. I am not supporting crime, no. Let them look for the criminal and let the criminals be punished according to our laws. They could run to anywhere. Let the army have the patience not to decide to ransack people's homes and do away with the property. Where do they take the property to?
Now, what is the state of the villages that you visited in the northwest region today?
No, I only in Kumbu area there, the villages I visited. Those who were attacked by the army, well, the people are miserable. Miserable, like I say, all that was harvested is reduced. Petrol was thrown on them and set on fire. Yeah. Not that I heard, I saw. And by the way, before I arrived, there are some sisters also who on charitable activity were already there to see how they could help the people.
And many inhabitants of those villages have fled to unknown places.
To unknown areas. To unknown areas. For example, in Mafi, the bishop told me the Dia and the traditional rulers had tried to bring the people back to the villages. And that the district officer had advised the traditional chiefs to see the bishop, because he has a good knowledge of what is happening, where the people are. And the bishop told me, no, he was ready even to get, buses to bring the people back to this particular village in his diocese. I've forgotten the name. And that, but his question was, where would he bring them to? There is not a single house standing up. Where would he? I think the government should have a project if they want the people to come back, and they're ready to come back, to put up some karabur houses, as they call them. The people in the forest are used to building with those. But the problem is one now of confidence in the administration.
And talking about the administration, His Eminence, despite the disturbing situation that you're painting in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, the implementation of stringent security measures announced by the President of the Republic in his end-of-year address to the nation on the 31st of December, which some have qualified now as a declaration of war on the Anglophone,
I think that was exaggerated.
Continues on the ground.
I'm sorry to say the President exaggerated the presence of the army in the English-speaking part of the country. It's no solution.
And that continues, however, despite...
Well, if it continues, we will never get a solution to the problem. With a human being, you reason. You do not use violence as if you are, treating a beast. You reason. That's why the world, I can say the world, is calling for dialogue. It's not violent.
And His Eminence, when you see the situation, like you observed while you were in the northwest and during your transit through the southwest region, while coming back to Douala,
not once, twice, many times.
When you look at the situation worsening on the ground, and the President of the Republic tells Cameroonians that the situation is stabilizing.
No, it is not. He is not well informed. No, the President is not well informed. I think some people hide the truth from him. It's a pity, I have to say that. I don't think the President knows the reality of what is happening in the southwest and in the northwest of the country. It's dramatic.
But there are reports...
Schools are not going on.
There are reports on television, on radio, newspapers, every day on the situation.
I wonder how many go on the official papers like the CRTV and go to the spot. If you don't know, people in Kumbu did not know what was happening in Beam. When I told them I was in Beam, they said, what did you go to do in Beam? I said, I went to witness myself for myself what the army has done in Beam. They don't know. The truth is not publicized.
And there are also reports of looting going on.
Looting by the army, I'm sorry to say it. The looting is by the army. And I think also the killing of of some military men gives me the impression that they are not well trained militarily. I cannot understand how a well-trained young military man, how a young man in the village who is not trained can seize a gun from his hand and use it against him.
And many of those who were killed are the young ones who just came out of school some few months ago.
Yeah, they are not well trained. They haven't the experience of or, the tactics required, either in the approach of the population. Now the population is the enemy of the army. I can say that.
And the deployment of young soldiers on the ground who just came out of school.
Why the young are not the experienced? Why the young? And we are told that, this is by hearsay, told that, some high-ranking military people use the occasion to enrich themselves because the government is spending. The government is spending for these operations.
Enriching themselves. How? His Eminence?
Well, those who are on the front eat little, and what they receive, most of it remains in their pockets. So I'm told.
Right. His Eminence.
Take, for example, let's take the case of Bakassi. Well, I read somewhere that at one time we were talking about 20 Cameroonians who were killed by invading Nigerian army. But somebody with a military experience is bringing out a book, if he has not brought it out. I read the rough copy of it. Says that the killing of the 20 Cameroonians in Bakassi was by the Cameroonian army and not by the Nigerian army. Because the president, the two presidents, President Obasanjo of Nigeria and Paul Biya and the Secretary General of the United Nations, were about settling the problem politically. But the army wanted still to prove that the problem it cannot be settled now. It is still going on. So they organized a killing of Cameroonians by Cameroonians, because I learned they were giving them about 400 million every month or every year, I don't know. Because the state spends on this military operation, and the account of how the money is spent is not given. It's not given. I hear the top people do not render account of how the money they were given for this or that operation was spent.
So are you blaming the worsening situation on poor management by the government?
Of course, that is
the
obvious.
President of the Republic, for example, has not been to the northwest or southwest since he started.
That's obvious. The people who should tell you this are not going to the front to see what's happening. The reality of the situation.
Are you advising President Paul Biya to go to the northwest and the southwest?
Of course. If I were him, I would go to the front to see for myself, to talk to the people. And the people themselves have been calling for it. Take, for example, the refugees in Nigeria. I was in Nigeria during that period, up to the interior of Igbo land, Nowhere. I didn't go to where our refugees are found, but I was told that on the 31st of December, when the president gave his national, political speech, some refugees trekked for 1 hour to a point where they could listen to the president's speech. And they were sorry that even in that, he didn't make mention of them. And those were his supporters, CRTV, CPDM. Members of the CPDM party, women, they trekked for 1 hour to go to a point in Nigeria where they could get clearly the speech of their president. And they were so deceived, they were so disappointed that the president did not make mention of them who are refugees in Nigeria.
All right, we're going to take a short break. Time for us to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. The Anglophone crisis, internal crisis within the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, and Youth Day celebration are some of the major news highlights on newspaper front pages this week. The Horizon reports the killing of 3 gendarme officers in Kembong in the southwest region and unarmed civilians at the Sabga police checkpoint in the northwest region. It is reported in the Sun that violence is escalating in the northwest and southwest regions despite President Biya's February 10 assurances. The division officer for Batibo is abducted barely hours after President Biya said the situation was getting stable. And the Post-Weekender reports that the list of abducted and missing Anglophones has been discovered in the Kondengi prison in Yaoundé, while Bello and Fundong in the northwest region are deserted as soldiers search for guns. In another news article, the paper highlights an attack on the Cameroon Development Corporation (CDC) by gunmen who made away with 30 million francs CFA. According to the Star, Ambazonian threats have shut down schools in the southwest and northwest regions, and the Median highlights what it qualifies as wild repression by soldiers in Bamenda after the killing of a colleague by unknown raiders. The Guardian Post reports that soldiers intercepted and flogged teachers going for 11 February parade in Bamenda. In another issue of the paper, it reports condemnation of military brutality on teachers during the Youth Day celebration, qualified as 11th of February of blood and tears in the Manyo and Momo divisions as Anglophones defied threats and celebrated Youth Day in the southwest and northwest regions. The Voice qualifies Ambazonian leaders Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and his collaborators jailed at the State Secretariat for Defense in Yaoundé as mystery prisoners. According to The Voice, President Biya is plotting a new republic and making reference to the terrible and horrible experience of the Makiza War in the Bamileke land. CPDM Secretary General Jean Kwete tells The Star no one should ever dream of war as solution to a problem, tells Cameroonians the head of state has severally made clarion calls for dialogue, and says the Bilingualism and Multiculturalism Commission has been put in place to work on the Anglophone problem. Paradoxically, his party, the CPDM, is hit by internal crisis. The Post-Weekender reports that the party's southwest branch is splitting into 2 factions over the senatorial election, with Peter Mafani Musonge playing the umpire between Tabetando and Motombi. And the Guardian Post further reveals that the CPDM is on the verge of an explosion in the northwest and southwest regions as big guns hit senatorial election list. Achidi Achu versus John Begininde in the northwest region, Tabetando versus Ote Andrew Mofa in the southwest region, and the Central Committee in a fix as 3 lists emerge in the northwest region and 4 in the southwest region. The Horizon projects a dead heat between the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement and the Social Democratic Front (SDF) in the northwest region, while Maurice Kamto of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement (CRM) political party announces that his party will boycott the senatorial election. We wrap up the press review in culture with the Median, which qualifies the election of late EML Endele's son Esuka Endele as paramount ruler of Boya, as giving what belongs to Caesar to Caesar. His Eminence Christian Cardinal TUMI. Many are asking the question today, where is the church in all what is happening in Cameroon today?
We are living the events painfully with the population. I can affirm without any fear of contradiction that the bishops in the 2 regions know very well what is happening on the ground. At the beginning of these problems, they studied the situation and made a report and asked for audience with the head of state. Till today they have not got it. They have also written a second report on the events. And especially the Bishop of Mamfe, where it is really very, very difficult now for people to move around, has made a good report on what is happening. Of course, when they make those reports, they propose solutions. For the first report, they were accused by the official press that they were taking sides. Which bishop would like to take sides? If there is no peace in the country, our action as missionaries, as pastors, cannot move. We are not politicians. We would love that there be peace. Christ is the Prince of Peace, and that is him whom we propose to the world. If there is no peace, we cannot do our missionary work. So if you would see in all the dioceses in Cameroon, there's prayer, special prayer for peace at every Mass.
His Eminence, when we look at the role of the church in countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, in South Africa, we're tempted to say that the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon is a little bit sluggish.
We have even been accused that we have been attacking the government too often. You know, situations are different. Situations are different. You cannot compare I don't know the exact situation in the Congo Democratic.
The church has a very strong influence in the socio-political life of the nation there.
It depends what you mean by strong influence. It doesn't appoint ministers anyway. The thing is that when the conference notices that there's something going wrong, which could touch the lives of the people, the government makes propositions. Doesn't impose, because we have no political power to impose. We can only propose, you know. And that some conferences do more than others. I agree with you there. I admire the implication of the Catholic Episcopal Conference in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where we're usually very slow, like Cameroon. We're the product of our country, you know, in acting. I agree with you there. There are situations where I would think we should take a firm stand and say this is wrong.
And that is what many Cameroonians are requesting from the President of the National Episcopal Conference today, to come out with very rigid and hard stance on issues like what is happening in the country today, the socio-political crisis.
Yeah. Yes, I think the conference should have done more. I agree with you there. And it is doing. It's my opinion. Because when I compare that with the time when we were there, during the economic crisis, we brought out a stinker to prove that the causes of the economic crisis were mostly internal, not external. We tend to blame those from outside, but we think that we analyze it with some intellectuals, lay people, worked with them, produced a document, the economic crisis in 1990. On the economic crisis, it was, they attacked us on the radio. Even before it came to, I don't know how it snaked out. It leaked out, and the conference was, I was the president of the conference at the time. Some even accused me that I was the one who pushed the bishops to bring out that document. I wish I could push the bishops to bring out a document. I would have pushed them to bring out many documents.
Right, His Eminence, we're going to take interviews of the week, and when we come back, we'll take a look at what should be done by government at this point in time to bring the situation under control.
I want the head of state to bring peace and unity to the country.
We are pleading for the president of this country that let him try by all possible means and try all possible means to hold a dialogue with the Anglophone elites. Peace will reign in the Anglophone zone.
I think that by this March past, which was very wonderful and which carried out many measures, particularly those calling to peace, to the preservation of our national unity, promote our multiculturalism. In one word, it was suiting to the theme of this 52nd edition of Youth Day, which is youth, multiculturalism, peace, and national unity.
Even as per the theme, the multiculturalism and peace and unity, I have found it here in Bonaberry. Some of us who were born here in Douala, we've really seen it now, that unity is really here, and the love, because you cannot talk about peace without love.
A female teacher who marched got by the food market. She was seriously and stupidly beaten. So, are you telling me that tomorrow if you call that teacher to come out again, make an effort to come out, she'll come out? I saw more of parents marching than the youths. And if you saw that in the school, there are 2 children, 3 children, it means that the spirit of youth day has been killed. They've sent the army to come and shoot the English out of you, shoot the youth aspirations out of you, shoot the cultural aspirations out of you. And we saw more of soldiers parading with guns, helicopters in the sky. This never used to be the case.
To congratulate the youth of the Northwest region who, they, despite all, mobilized themselves fully today to showcase of the diversity of this nation and confirm the need to work together to bring back the situation to normalcy in the Northwest region.
Knowing fully well that children are not going to school in Lady Allen, I urge you, as the primary ambassador of this locality, to sensitize your brothers and sisters to go to school.
Concrete development passes through education, and all parents, everybody, they should understand that children, their place is in school and not at home. And they have to do everything possible to make sure that these children go to school, because we can only emerge, we can only develop passing through education.
The message is the one of the head of states, who is asking youths to be very good workers and do not follow those who are bringing some news that cannot help these youths. So we are grateful for what the head of state has done, and literature is the one who can give more opportunities to our youth.
We are citizens from Yassa village. We came here because we are having a problem with our lands. We are no more safe. Each day we have the person that was having the land, the pa had 2 children, and so they bought that one has already died, and the man before dying, he sold his land to us, and we bought the land. We have our papers, but now the brother's children are coming to fight the land with us, claiming that the land is their land, that they want to take back the land and resell back the land. We tell them that no, we have already bought the land and we are having our papers. They told us that no, the man is no more. So so it doesn't concern us. And now they are coming, even with lands that they have already built houses on top, they want to resell back the land up to the extent where they will make pillars that they have already put pillars. They come again, it's either they put pillars or they include their own paints, which is blue color they are putting on top the pillars. So all that we are fighting for, we want peace. We don't want war. We want peace. We want that the state should even listen to the problem, because we are not more safe. Each day, every night they come into the quarter, we remove people. We have about 4 of our leaders that they have locked up. We don't know the reason why they came and took them. They took and they said the government, the DO came and instructed them to put pillars around. And now they cut our leaders. They said they are the ones that remove the pillars. So we don't know at the time that they came and put the pillars, or at the time that they were removing the pillars. We want that they should prove to us that they saw the period when those leaders were removing the pillars on those lands, and they should liberate them and they should look for a solution to solve the problem.
You had a dream. You wanted computers. Now you have computers. And I can tell you that President Paul Biya loves you.
I have therefore come to the decision to resign as President of the Republic with immediate effect. Even though I disagree with the decision of the leadership of my organization, I have always been a disciplined member of the ANC. As I leave, I will continue to serve the people of South Africa as well as the ANC.
I am so happy because this man is too controversial for my liking. He drove ANC down, he drove our economy down, and thanks God he's gone, because since he's been in office, nothing works in South Africa. Thank God he's gone. The president has to stamp out corruption wherever it exists. In the ANC, wherever, in the PAC, wherever there's corruption, the president must stamp it out, because our people are suffering, and we can't afford to have, our leaders being corrupt.
One of the things that I will be seeking to do is to have an opportunity, which I started doing when I was appointed Deputy President. I will seek to work with all political parties, and we'll start it off with wanting to have a meeting with the leaders of all political parties so that we can try and find a way of working together. And I'm heartened by some of the sentiments expressed here about working together, which I will want to touch on.
Right, those were interviews of the week. His Eminence Christian Cardinal TUMI. From all indications, you are joining those who say that government has been poorly managing the socio-political unrest in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country. How should government go about solving this problem?
I think, many have proposed the way of going about the solution of the problem we have at hand, that we have in our hands now. Nothing can be done without our meeting to talk about the problems. Many have called for what is called inclusive dialogue. Some are wondering with whom should the government dialogue. But if the government was to dialogue...
And some say the government should dialogue with the secessionists.
With?
With the secessionists.
With everybody. That's what I understand by inclusive dialogue, in my own understanding. Nobody should be excluded. The present situation is this. We cannot dialogue without these fellows who are outside there and are controlling our fellow citizens in the country, in the two regions of the country. It's impossible.
Including those who are now in detention, Sesiku, Ayuk and the others.
Everybody. Their representatives. Allow them to choose their representatives and let's dialogue with them.
Are you calling on government to release them and bring them to the dialogue table?
Of course. You know the case of Ghana. Nkrumah was voted when he was a prisoner to become the Prime Minister of Ghana. You know why not? There is nobody who can claim to love Cameroon more than any other Cameroonian. We all love this country. It is our country. Nobody is older than this country. We were born and we were told this is Cameroon. We love Cameroon. At reunification, we fought for, I was so involved in my own small way in the fight for reunification. So that I, as a seminarian, I was not yet a priest. I asked my bishop, my Lord, why after reunification you continue to send us to Nigeria when there is a major seminary in Yaoundé? He told me, Christian, that was a political question. So I closed my mouth. And when I was ordained, 3 years after he came to tell my bishop, the same person told me that I should be ready to go to Europe for further education. I said, where? He told me Rome. And I told my bishop, my Lord, I'm ready to go to Rome. But our country has become bilingual. I would like to study in a French-speaking country. That's why he sent me to France, so that I would feel at home everywhere in Cameroon. I've been a priest for 50 years. I've only worked for 9 years in the English-speaking part of the country. For the rest of my life as a priest, I've been a priest here, a bishop, Yagwa Garwa Douala. So wanted it. But then there was cheating going on. We have to come back. If we had continued with what we decided in 1961, there would have been no problem. A federal republic. I'm not fixing on 2 states. We can multiply states, but a federal republic. That's what was decided.
And today federalism has become a taboo.
So slowly and silently, we have come back to where we were at reunification, La République. Which means the fundamental rights of the English-speaking Cameroonians are not being respected. I'm sorry. As far as the English-speaking part of the country is concerned. I keep repeating this experience. I lived in Rome as a bishop. The French embassy to the Holy See invites us for a supper. While we are there, the French officer in the embassy approaches me and asks me, Monsieur le Cardinal, vous êtes de quel pays? When I told him I was from Cameroon, he said, ah, nous sommes contents que vous êtes en train d'assimiler les anglophones. And France is involved.
And is that assimilation that
has come true?
The root cause of what is happening today?
And that has come true. Because we have come back to La République. And that is why some of the English-speaking Cameroon are fighting for Southern Cameroon, because that's what it was. And we changed the name. But we have come back.
So you're saying that government should go back to square one and begin to rectify the problem from the
if they want real peace. Because I'm convinced that if we are continued with that, we would not have been where we are. That's my opinion, to which I have a right. Others have right to their own opinions.
His Eminence, thank you so much for accepting to be a guest in this edition of the program.
God bless you.
That was His Eminence Christian Cardinal TUMI, Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church in the economic capital of the Republic of Cameroon. That is the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church. He was a guest in this edition of the program. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Take the appointment for next Sunday for another edition.